that immediately brings us to the basic instructions, as
Mm.
simple as we can make it. And we can talk about different versions of this, but the absolute basic instruction is right now, what is aware of hearing these words? Which, if it works, turns your attention around 180 degrees, not to the words, but to what is aware of the words. And
Yes. Yes. And then the word that just jumps out on this page is in that fourth paragraph where you're saying, what is reading is you. Because that's where all the complication lies in a way, isn't it? It's because, if you ask someone, what's aware of reading? I go, I'm reading, I'm hearing, I'm seeing. And that's where it all starts to go in a different direction in where we've been conditioned. But that's not what you're pointing to. You're not pointing to in here the common usage of the word you or me or I, are you?
so we normally think of ourselves as a bunch of shifting thoughts, sensations, the body, various moods or emotions, different aspects of who we are, a narrative, our memories, our desires, this whole conglomerate of sensations and feelings and thoughts. And here we're looking at that which is aware of that and saying, at the same time, saying, well, that is what you are, not the content.
Mm. And that's probably initially one of the most affronting things for our current conditioning of our mind to look at.
Yes, I think the key thing here is that's really all this inquiry is in its essence. It's just moving the attention from the content to that which is aware of the content.
Yes. So the simplicity and almost the narrowness of this inquiry is moving us away from all the content of our psychology, thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions, to the thing that's aware of that. But where it can then appear less simple is what we're saying is aware is not what we've been conditioned to think is aware.
No. And the rest of this will be figuring out all the ways the mind now tries to explain what it is that is looking,
Yeah.
what it is that is aware, and that it's not that.
Yeah.
But really, we could stop here. Really, we could stop here and say, well, this is inquiry, and if you just do it, at a certain point, something will shift. So the basic instructions look at that which is aware. And very important, that which is already aware, the ordinary everyday awareness. There's a whole set of expectations that awareness is something spiritual or far away. It's that awareness is already the awakening or enlightenment, and only very special people have this awareness. Or it's somewhere I need to get to. Which is why it's so important to realize that no, it's just this right now, the awareness now, hearing these words now, it's very ordinary. It's not something special. It's not something you have to get to or add.
No, I mean, it's so fundamental and basic and ordinary that, it's there right from the very beginning of any of us. And, so it's so fundamental. I think it gets confused either with the spiritual end, awareness, consciousness, or it gets confused with attention, which we'll get to, so our awareness within the content, which is different. So what we're talking about is just a very mechanical, if you like, mechanical fact that as a bunch of humans, we have the capacity for awareness of an internal and external world, you want to call it that, thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions. That's it.
Yes. Another way to put it would be, are you alive? Are you present? And it's just that sense of aliveness, the thing that experiences your world.
Yes. The capacity to experience the world. That's it.
Yeah.
The thing that does that. Yeah.
What I found is that there's also a myth that you are then at some point an awakened person. So you've seen this, that if you do this inquiry and then you see awareness, you will be done and awakened. And the way I experience it is you're never done in that sense, because it's always the question right now, in this moment, the only moment there is, the only now there is. Do you know what you are? Do you know the experiencer? And what you knew 3 days ago has become irrelevant.
Right. Because we've all already recognized this. That when we were babies, we knew this. We
Yes.
couldn't express it because we don't have language. So the fact that you've known it once doesn't make any difference to tomorrow or now. So I agree with you that, well, so what? Are you seeing it now? Now, just to slightly add a bit into that, it does seem to me that the more regularly we see it, or more frequently we see it, the easier it becomes to see on a moment to moment basis. So whereas it doesn't really matter in the past, because of course we've all seen this, we're almost shifting the ratio of your day that you spend standing as awareness versus thinking you're the content. And whereas it doesn't matter that you've seen it once or 100 times at one level, there does seem, because the thing that gets in the way of seeing it is the self trying to do something else.
It's another paradox, right? At one level, the level of experience, the more you see this, the more obvious and the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
At the level of the myth of awakening or enlightenment, or whatever myth we want to hang on to this, it's not you see this and then you're enlightened.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of going on a journey to get enlightened or awake.
No.
And I know they're just words and phrases and whatever, because that implies you're not already. We are already. We're just making it more frequent, every day, and kind of familiar and obvious. That's all.
Yes. So this is asking you to drop the whole story in time and about becoming something, and to just look right now. Right now, do you know who you are?
And I think that's the most practical way. If you want to know, how do you get benefit from this, which is a slightly different part of the conversation. If you want to benefit from this right now, if you're sitting at your desk at work, you stand as awareness, right? That does everything else you need.
Yes. Yes. Now, we've already talked about these words, concepts, awareness, awakening, enlightenment. This booklet or this course uses the word awareness with a capital A. We could call it whatever we want. It's just a name. The problem with the word awareness is that many people bring lots of information or ideas about it into the word, hang on to the word. But all we're talking about is this sense, what we just discussed, the experiencer of the content. And we give it the name awareness and capitalize it because we're referring to not the separate self, not the little you, the content of experience, but that which experiences it.
Yeah. So I think for people first coming into this, that distinction between there being stuff that we're aware of and something that does the awareness is the key distinction. And what we're labeling the thing that has the capacity for awareness is awareness with a big A, right? That's all we're doing. So we're making a distinction between something people haven't, I didn't really spot, until I came into this, is that, I can decouple and emerge my capacity for awareness, or the capacity for awareness, and the content. So we're pulling apart capacity and content.
Yes. You are aware. Aware is you. And the only movement or practice that will show you that is what we're discussing. That's inquiry in its pure form. That's what this is about. The movement of seeing now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. There is something that is aware of what is going on, and that is what I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So to put that in my frame, it would be just shifting to recognize that you are the capacity for awareness, not the content of awareness, making that shift.
The mind comes in and tries to understand that and wants to explain it, which is also what we're trying to do because we're trying to help you do this. But it is actually just knowing that, knowing it's not, you don't feel something new because you already are aware. So many people associate this becoming aware of awareness with a feeling of calm or a still mind or some superior state. And this is where I found it important to make clear that it's just knowing something. It's realizing, recognizing, as we said, what is already the case. And it's not more than that. So the mind kind of draws a blank because it says, well, what is this? There's nothing there. There's nothing for me to new knowledge or new understanding to hold on to. And that's what makes people feel they haven't done this. They think there's nothing because it's just a movement, a simple recognition, and there's no extra state or knowledge or experiencing flowing in.
Yes. I think you're right to bring that up because, again, going back to expectations, if people are expecting something to be radically different or a fanfare or something like that, that they're not going to get it. And then they're going to miss the ordinary, unremarkable, everydayness, already happeningness of this. The only thing I might add a little bit is it is the knowing of it. Full stop. However, that often does have a slight feeling different to it. That I would say, not that we should be searching that, but it is very often accompanied with a bit of a shift in spaciousness or something. It does feel a little, when you just go from, as we were saying, the only practice here is to go from thinking you're the content to recognizing you're the thing that's aware of the content. That can physiologically look like it makes a little bit of a change in how you breathe or just, so we're not saying if something changes in you, then you haven't seen it, right? We're not saying, oh, I just felt more peaceful. That can't be it. There may be accompanying sensational shifts, but that's not the prize and that's not the indicator, but they could well be there.
Completely agree. So it often happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, it's important not to expect that or to use that as a marker because even if you have extreme monkey mind or you are in the middle of that stressful meeting, sweating and with heart palpitations, you can still be aware of awareness.
Yes, absolutely. But absolutely. So the heart palpitations are going on, the mind's going noisy, and let's say you've shifted what you are, you've shifted your position. That will probably in a few seconds or minutes decrease the palpitations and the monkey mind. It may or may not, right? But you can, So it's not like you can only be standing as awareness when you're Zen on the top of a mountain.
Yes. And that's really important because I find that this is such a strong belief that being aware of awareness, the inquiry that we're suggesting, that is some form of peak experience or a deeper state of meditation or a complete stilling of the mind. And these are often people who've had Buddhist training or have read a lot of that stuff. They find it's an implicit assumption and it's very, very hard to see and get rid of.
Yes. And that's a different aspect of spirituality, if you want to call it, what they're talking about. It's a different thing. It's not wrong or right. It's just different to this. Yeah.
Okay, so this is basically it. This is the core of the instructions. Become aware of that which is aware. The end.